Welcome. I'm Christy Ackley, and I'm so glad you're here for this conversation about endowments. In this short video, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful and often overlooked tools for building strong, vibrant communities for generations to come, your Community Foundation Endowment. By the end of this training, you'll have a better understanding of what an endowment is and how it works, along with these other learning objectives that you can see on your screen. Go ahead and pause if you want to read through them. Before we get started, though, let me tell you a story. Let's go back to the year 1785. Benjamin Franklin was 79 years old. He had lived a remarkable life as an inventor, a printer, a scientist, a diplomat, and one of the founding fathers of the United States. But what he did towards the end of his life was just as powerful and maybe not as much talked about as all of those other amazing things. You see, Franklin believed in ordinary people, the craftspeople, the tradesmen, the young apprentices who kept their communities running. He also believed in the power of compounding, not just in money, but in small actions over time. So he decided to leave a legacy. In his will, Franklin set aside £1,000, which was around $2,000, each for the cities of Boston and Philadelphia. But he didn't just give them money, he gave them a plan. He put them in a trust that lasted for 200 years. In the first 100 years, the money could be used to make loans to young tradesmen who needed capital to get started, whether that was to learn their trade or to start their businesses. They would pay it back with interest, and the city would reinvest those over time. After the 100 years, they could use the money for about 75% of the money for public works and other initiatives as well. So he projected that after 100 years, that fund would be worth about $500,000. And after 200 years, over $4 million. Well, he wasn't very far off. After 2 centuries, Franklin's original gift had grown to just over $6.5 million, even after decades, hundreds of years, of funding scholarships, community programs, and apprenticeships. What started as a modest gift became a forever fund, one that's still supporting hardworking people today through the Franklin Institute and the Franklin Cummings Tech. You see, he didn't just give a gift, he started a movement. Now imagine this. What might your community look like in 100 years if someone in your town made a gift like that today? What would it mean for students who needed scholarships? For kids who needed access to music or meals or mentors? For the long-term vitality of your main street, your library, or your park? That is what endowments can do. We're not here to make a quick splash. We're here to plant seeds that will bear fruit year after year, long after we're gone. At its core, an endowment is a fund where the principal is invested and the earnings support a cause forever. Let's break that down just a little bit. So the principal, that's the original gift. It is protected and never spent. The earnings are used to support your work year after year. Some funds are restricted, meaning the donor specifies how it should be used. Others are unrestricted, giving your board the flexibility to meet changing community needs. The best metaphor I've ever heard about endowments is it's like planting an apple tree that you never cut down. You just pick the fruit year after year. So why should community foundations, especially small ones, care about endowments? Because they provide sustainability. You're not starting from zero every year. They provide stability. When the economy shifts, you have a cushion. And they provide legacy. Donors can create something that outlives them. And then finally, they build credibility. When people see that you're planning for the long term, it builds trust. Endowments are one of the best ways to ensure that the causes and places your donors care about are supported for generations. So let's tackle some of the most common myths about endowments. So someone might say, you have to be a millionaire to start one. Well, that's not true. We just heard the story of Ben Franklin, who started it with £1,000, or like I said, about $2,000. That's a great beginning, and it builds up. Or you might hear somebody say, endowments tie up money that we need now. Actually, they fund your future. They're about long-term sustainability. And I'm not saying that there's not problems or things that need to be funded now, but endowments are making sure that there's also funding later. We already have savings. Well, that's great, but savings get spent down, endowments build up. The truth is, every community can benefit from an endowment, and every gift towards that endowment counts. So, how do you talk to your donors about this? Well, I would say lead with legacy. Ask, what do you want your community legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered? Show the impact. Let them know their gift will generate funding every year forever. Offer some options. Maybe they want a named family fund or memorial gift. You can work with your team at Smith to make those possible. Talk about timing. So some people give during their lifetime, others through their estate. Both are valuable. So they can do it now or later, that's fine. But giving to your endowment means that their legacy lives on. Here's a tip for small towns. Make sure that you celebrate $1,000 like it's $1 million, because every gift matters and every donor deserves to feel like they're part of something lasting. So, how do you grow your fund? Well, first, start with a fund focused on your mission. Even a small general sustainability endowment makes a big difference. Promote the opportunities. So, encourage memorial gifts. Talk about birthday funds or milestone celebrations. So, what do I mean by that? I mean, like somebody that for their birthday, instead of asking for gifts, they can ask for a gift to the endowment in their name. Or when they've got a big milestone celebrating, like they're celebrating, their 50th wedding or the sale of a new business or, of a business that they've been running, something like that. Obviously, you want to partner with Smith for investment and back office help. You don't have to manage the investments or the administration alone. They take care of all of that for you. And they have a long history and credibility that makes your donors feel even safer, which is great. And then celebrate and share. When your endowment grows or grants are made, tell the story. Show people what their legacy looks like in action. Let's return to Ben Franklin. A small act of generosity planted centuries ago is still bearing fruit through the Franklin Institute and the Franklin Cummings Tech. Growing your community foundation's endowment can be part of your legacy story too. So how can you start today? Well, have conversations with your current donors, continue to educate yourself and your board about legacy giving, and celebrate every gift that helps your endowment grow, because a small act today can truly become something remarkable.